Hello. Welcome back to my channel, and hello if this is your first time. This is the first episode in a series of developer diaries for my new game, Dungeon Delicacies, that I hope to finish by the end of June / beginning of July. So I'm going to try to make a video of everything that I did this week so that I can keep track of what I've done, how productive I've been, and so that everybody can see what I'm doing, what I'm up to. If you like the project, think that it's going to be a cool game, or just want to support an indie game dev, check out my social medias linked in the description. Subscribe, stick around. Anyway, let's get into it. So, Dungeon Delicacies is a dungeon crawler / cooking sim with turn-based combat. I had this idea for years, but I really got inspired by Delicious in Dungeon or Dungeon Meshi. I read the manga and then I watched the show. So I was really inspired by the concept of, going into a dungeon, killing monsters, and then turning around and turning those monster parts into delicious food. So that's what we're gonna do. And so I don't have a name for the main character yet. He's just chilling. I'll talk more about him later. Names are really hard for me, so coming up with names for characters is not easy. So I'm gonna do some research into different types of names, fantasy or otherwise, and then I'll get back to that when I start writing the lore and the dialogue and all that stuff. This is the in progress title screen. I don't know if I'm gonna keep it. I like it. I dig the vibes, but it's a very in progress. What I have done so far for the game, I'm gonna show you some things. I pretty much started this game at the beginning of the year, by the way. So I have notes for all of the cooking mini games, but I was starting with combat first so that, I'm starting with level 1 of the dungeon and I want to get that completely done. And mechanically, it's almost completely done. I have notes for the levels themselves, but I guess let's start out by showing off some concept art that I've made for this game. This is all pretty old, like 3-4 months ago when I first decided, hey, I'm gonna make this game, but I was still in school then, so I was like, okay, I'm just gonna draw some ideas so that I have, something to work on next year when I dedicate my life to this project for 6 months. These are some little doodles of character designs for the main character. I ended up going with number 2 just because I think it's really cute. I ended up changing the art style, which we'll see in the next slide. But I'm going to reuse all of these designs for NPCs and characters that you meet in the game. I really like all of them. I think they're all really cute. This little guy turned into this. And so as you can see, I got some color variations down here and turn around. I really like this version of the character. I think he's adorable. Kind of has very optimistic, I'm gonna explore the world energy. I like baggy, poofy pants. Okay, don't get on me about that. This is one of my favorite character designs elements. Okay, so not permanent. Once I start animating things, his design might change, depending on how hard or easy he is to animate. But yeah, also colors are not permanent. I really like his color palette right now, but we'll see how he looks in the game with all the different environments. This is some concept art for the level 1. The first level. The first level is like a crypt or a tomb. So I was looking at different color palettes, trying to see kind of what vibes I was going to go for. Then I've got the second level, which is a mine shaft. And so I was going for something a bit more desaturated, but we'll see how the colors turn out when I actually start working on the second level. And I've kind of changed the design for the second level quite a bit. Before it was kind of just like a Minecraft mineshaft, and now it's more of it's got like crystals coming out everywhere, ores you can see. It's gonna be very colorful. And then this is the third level, which is a kind of stalagmite filled cavern with a bunch of pools of water everywhere. And then the fourth level is underwater. It's a water level, but there's You're not swimming around fighting things yourself, which is super annoying. I think water levels suck, but I endeavor to make this one fun and pretty. And so these are the color palettes that I chose. I want each of them to have a different color palette than each other, so each level is visually distinct. But this may change as I start actually making art for it. We'll see how it goes. Because, you know, like I said, the mineshaft level is going to be way more colorful than it currently is. But we'll see how it goes. Alright, this is a little gif of all the different level designs that I have sketched out right now. These are not permanent, they're due to change. I just have a very loose vibe for each level of like how organic versus man-made or constructed I want it to be. So the ones that are more, you know, like tombs or temples or castles, things like that are going to be a lot more structured and rigid, while like the underwater area is going to be very kind of loose and wiggly wobbly. Now we get some concept art for enemies. These are old though, with the old art style that I was doing, so they're very chibi-esque. These are just some doodles for what the movement could possibly look like. I needed some sprites when I was testing out the combat, so I just whipped out some really janky attack animation sprites. And this is a little Draugr guy. Changing, again, this is the chibi version. I'm changing how they look. But I figured I might as well show everything that I have thus far so that, you know, when I'm done with the game, I can look back at this, or anyone can look back at this and be like, wow, everything changed so much. And then a little slimy guy. And then we got some slimy attacks. And then this is a crypt creeper. I didn't put in the concept art for this because I forgot. But essentially, it's like a lizard slash crawfish. So it's got like a lizard head that goes jump, and then it's got like pincers that it uses to block, to defend itself and to smack things with, and it's got a poisonous tail that'll go hacha and sting you with it. This is kind of the boss enemy of the first level. They're pretty rare, so when you find one, make sure you kill it. This is Rat. Just a little guy, just an angry little guy. These are some attacks for the Will-O-Wisp, which is on the first level. I'm gonna change the way the attacks look, but we'll see how that all works out. Now I'm going to show you what I did this week. Okay, so first I did 4 things this week. 4 things that took the entire week. This is just the title sequence so that I can click play and then load in new game stuff. I have my little guy, and as you can see, the CPU is skyrocketing because what I did was not cost effective at all. What I did is I have a bunch of guys everywhere, and every time the game loads, every time I load this level, it reads a script to tell me, okay, what enemy is this guy? So this guy is green slime, this guy is a zombie, or a Draugr, and then up here there should be a bunch of skeletons. I'm stuck. Yep, a bunch of skeletons. I did this in a very inefficient way. As you can see by the fact that the animation is taking 10 years to animate. It wasn't working, so I decided to scrap this idea and do something else. And so the basis for this idea was I have X amount of enemy like nodes in the game, and every time I load the level, it runs a script, decides what enemy goes where depending on a bunch of arrays, and then that enemy gets spawned. However, the problem is now I have to constantly run scripts to be like, okay, is the skeleton facing left? Is it facing right? Is it facing up? Is it facing down? Okay, it's facing left. Play left animation. And it's running that for every single enemy constantly, in addition to a few other scripts that are like constantly checking, like, okay, is the enemy a skeleton? Okay, what's its health at? What direction is it facing? Is the hitbox over the player? All of these different things, and Constrict just couldn't handle it. Either that, or I was just going about it in a really inefficient way. Both could be true. So if I decide to do something like this again, I'll probably make each enemy its own unique sprite and then just make them all a family. Because right now, they're just one sprite with a bunch of different animations, which is causing me to have to go for each item constantly for everything. So it's a big mess. Doesn't work, so I changed to something else. So we got this little guy. Let me just run over here. And now we have the purple thing, which is a spawner. And then it spawns, 1 through 5 enemies every X amount of seconds. And so we got the enemies. They'll chase me and they'll attack me and ouchies. I don't think they actually deal any damage right now. They just deal knockback. The idea is pretty simple with this. I got this working completely, perfectly fine, but I was just, at the end of the day, I'm not really a fan of run up and hit things combat. Like, it has to be done a very specific way in order for me to enjoy it and come back to it, and I just wasn't feeling it. So I decided, you know what? Let's do something completely different. Third thing that I did this week was turn-based combat. So as you can see, we got a little upgrade. We got a stamina bar, we got a magic bar, in addition to our health bar. So I run over here, and I trigger a battle. I enter a little arena, and then we got a Draugr, which is just a frowny face, and we got the Crypt Creeper. So I click on the guy, I click attack, I kill him, then I attack her, and I kill her. And you can see down here, I got some items, then I go in my inventory, and then I got a heart, I got legs, and I got meat. And so I haven't shown off the inventory before, but I got the inventory working like 2 weeks ago. And so we got, this is the drops menu. Well, apparently it's not working anymore. So we got the drops menu, then we got the cooked ingredients menu, and then we got the meals menu. Trying to keep things organized, but we'll see how it goes with what feels good when we're playing. But yeah, so we got this. But then I was thinking, you know what? This is kind of boring. What kind of combat do I enjoy? Like, what's the game that I always come back to when it comes to the combat? And this is a little bit embarrassing. All right, you're gonna have to stay with me here. A little bit embarrassing, but the game that I always come back to at the end of the day is Wizard 101. I know, the game of all time. I don't play it anymore, but I absolutely love this game. It's cringe, but I am cringe and I am free. So there's something about the combat for Wizard 101 that is just so appealing to me. There's a few elements to it. There's, the randomness of the cards. There's strategy still and how you use those cards, how you build your deck. It's not taxing physically. Like, I'm a spoonie, all right? I'm disabled. I can't really play games that require a lot of me physically, so I really enjoy turn-based games that don't really require you to, have a lot of precision or speed or reflex checks. Wizard 101 has always been very appealing to me. So I decided, why not rip off Wizard 101? No, just kidding. There's a ton of games that use cards, that like video games that emulate card games. So here we have our own version. You enter battle, you click on the guy, you click a card you want to use. I missed. Click on the guy again. I killed him. Obviously, everything is placeholder art. I'm saving the art until everything is set. Once all the mechanics are, golden, everything like that. But anyway, this is the deck functionality. So, you click on a card to remove them. You can only have 4 cards in your deck at a time for each thing. And yeah, so when you go into the battle, this on the left side gets scrambled, and you are fed cards to use in the battle. And each card, says 1 stamina to cost 1 stamina, or 1 magic to cost 1 magic, etc, etc, etc. And so my plans for the game, we have a bunch of level 1 abilities. These are all level 1 abilities. So you have level 1 sword, level 1 mace, level 1 axe. Each of them deals different types of damage, and enemies are resistant or immune to certain types of damage. Then we've got the healing spell, and we've got the protection that increases your defensive score. You're going to eventually start unlocking as you travel throughout the dungeon. You're going to find new stuff. So you're going to unlock, fire spells, frost spells, shock spells, spells that increase your resistance to things, etc., etc., etc. And, once you unlock level 2 sword, you can get rid of your level 1 sword spells and just use this. And so yeah, that's pretty much all that I have so far. I could show you the kitchen stuff, but I only have like 2 or 3 cooking minigames in the works. But my goals for this week are week 2, week 3, week number 3. Goals, week number 3 is to polish the combat, which means adding in all of the enemies. So there's 5 enemies on each floor, or 5 types of enemies on each floor. And so right now, I only have the Draugr and the Crypt Creeper working, just because I wanted to test the mechanics with only 1 or 2 guys. Then I want to give the enemies unique abilities. So each enemy has, an attack or multiple attacks that do different things. Then they have support abilities. So I have the drops. Then for level, harvest items. So each level has a few items that you can run around collecting in the level itself. So I want those items to be around, and you can click them, add them to inventory. And then kitchen mini games. There's like 10, but you unlock them as you unlock different levels. So I might only work on the ones that you need for level 1. And then we have selling food. So we've got fulfilling orders. And what else do we need? Okay. What else do I think that I can accomplish this week? Minigames, fulfilling orders. We could have the commerce system. Alright, don't look at my spelling. My spelling is bad always. Alright, we got the commerce system. So we want money. We want items. Let's just put gear / potions. Inventory for gear. And yeah, I think that's a pretty good goal for my 3rd week, or this coming week. I can probably finish all of the combat stuff in like an hour or 2. I might be able to do that tomorrow, honestly. I don't know how long the kitchen mini games are going to take, because I usually trial and error stuff quite a bit. Hopefully by next week, I will have all of the mechanics for the game done, so that I can, or for the, level 1, for level 1 done, so that I can start doing art for level 1, because I want to have level 1 done, like completely done, before I start working on the rest of the game, just so that I know what it looks like, I know what it feels like, I know what I'm aiming for. So I'm hoping that I can have it completely done by the end of the month. So all of the mechanics, all of the concept art, all of the actual sprites and everything, all of the inventory stuff, all of the food, all of that, everything. I want it to be done by the end of this month. And the reason for that is because once I get the mechanics done, I'm pretty much set for the rest of the game, because all of the mechanics for the game are just copy, repeat. The only thing that gets more complicated is in each location, there's a unique traversal system. So in the mine shaft, you can ride around on mine carts. In the fungal area, you can bounce off of mushrooms. So there's some unique mechanics in each location, but for the most part, It's just copy paste between the different levels, with new enemies, and each enemy has their own unique mechanics or unique like animations for attacks and things like that. Some of them have unique mechanics, but yeah. So if you stuck around this whole time, thank you. Check out my social medias for more updates throughout the week and for other art and projects that I'm working on. Subscribe if you want. I do art on Twitch Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays in the morning. So if you want to watch me do art or ask me questions or anything like that, check out my Twitch. I'll see you next week. Toodles.